This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside Stephen Simcox, Locked On Horned Frogs. And Stephen, how was the holiday? How did the PlayStation 4 go over?
It was good. Yeah, my oldest son, we got him a PlayStation 4, which he was excited about. And he's played a little bit. He's been with his grandparents for like the past few days.
Okay.
We went and visited my wife's family, and then he stayed down there with his sister as well. So I've only got 2 kids at my house, which that's kind of a breeze compared to 4. That's 50% of my children gone. But they'll be back tomorrow. So we'll really get into video game mode, I'm sure, when he gets back. Because we'll have a couple days before school starts again.
So your Christmas present was 50% off.
Yes.
Like
that was my Christmas present. I got some new shoes and 50% of my kids. And so that's all you need when you're 30 years old.
You know, I'll tell you, and you're 30, I'm 43, Garrett's 37. 38.
Okay.
38. As you get older, like when you're a kid, you want a Christmas that's just like a smorgasbord. Mm-hmm. Like just absolutely Santa came down the chimney and gave me everything. I may not even said this out loud that I wanted this and I got it. Like that's what you want. When you're older, you're just like, give me like one really cool present.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like want something I'm going to use, and then I'm thrilled with that. And the transition is gradual, but like once it takes you over, you're like, well, I mean, like you can give me all this other stuff. It's just going to sit. But like if you give me one really cool thing or something I'm going to use, like shoes, then I'm going to appreciate that present that much more.
And little kids get so much because it's really easy to buy for them because you can still get just like small little things.
Yeah.
So they just get so much junk because they get stuff from Santa Claus, they get stuff from us. Then we go to my parents' house and there's stuff there. In-laws, there's stuff there. And so we're just loading the car on like the 28th, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, where is all this going to go? Because I know if I try to throw stuff away, which we did that while they were gone, but if they're there and I try to throw stuff away, it's like, oh no, that's my favorite toy. I'm like, you haven't played with this in a month. I know this is not your favorite toy, but just the idea of it going away. But anyway, there's just so much stuff. I don't need all that. I just need 1 or 2 things. I got some AirPods too, so now I can ignore people in conversation more effectively, which is a real positive thing that I'm looking forward to. So that's all I need, Paul.
I got some AirPods Max. That was
nice.
Two big gifts. My in-laws got me AirPods Max, which are great. Wore them on the plane and watched the Cowboys and Lions on the way back. Would have worn them while I was watching FSU, but I stopped watching that game in the airport.
I think that was a good call.
Yeah. So it was, just something I didn't need to see.
Yeah.
Even knowing the reality and the facts of said game, I still don't need to see it. Like, 53 scholarship players, like no part of me wants to see, like, can they win one for the Gippert? No.
It was not a Disney movie.
No, it was absolutely not a Disney movie. If it was the first part. It was the beginning. It was the beginning.
Where the ragtag team gets destroyed. Then like 6 months later, they add another player and get a cool coach. And
this is well before Kelly Leak, walks onto the field, right? So, but no, I did. And then I also got, I haven't talked about this yet. I don't think I've told Garrett and Jack about it. But we got married this year. So part of the other reason we didn't need really that many gifts was because we just got a bunch of gifts because we got married and we registered for gifts. So when we were asking like what each other wants, we were like, I don't know. I just spent the last few months of getting all the stuff that I would ever want. And I like to cook. I love kitchen gadgets. I'm a big kitchen gadget guy. Well, one of the things we registered for but didn't get, I knew that we weren't going to because it's a little pricey, but it was this really cool toaster that you like. It's got a screen on it, and you can select like if you want a bagel, if you want sourdough bread, or if you want wheat toast. It has those delineations. Pop-Tarts it has a setting for each thing.
Okay.
It's magical, and that's what Amanda got me was this toaster, and that's how the old point I've reached in my life where a toaster was the best thing you could have gotten me, and I have toasted the crap out of stuff the last couple of days.
What have you been toasting, Paul?
Bagels.
Okay.
English muffins.
Oh, I love a good English muffin.
Pop-Tarts.
Nice.
Bread. Whatever. You want me, that comes with a little thing. I can make like a little grilled cheese sandwich. I can put it in this little holder, and I can put that in there.
Possibilities are endless.
I mean, it's got a warming rack you put on the top.
Wow.
I mean, it's a setting. It's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten. It gives you a little countdown as to like where the thing is in the process, browning your toast. It's just, it takes all the guesswork out of toast, which I appreciate. Because believe me, when I lived alone, there was no guesswork in toast. I knew my setting is 3. But when you have to make toast for another human being, it can start an argument over you never make my toast the way that I want it. And then it's like, well, you can make your own damn toast, which is not the way to say that sentence. And then you have an argument about like, well, I don't like this toaster. Well, I don't like it either, but it only cost me $40. So I'm...
I didn't know we had made these kind of advancements in toast technology.
Oh, no, listen.
I'm still working with like the toaster my grandmother probably got during World War II.
Yeah, no, it's magical. It's called a revolution.
Okay.
And it's very aptly named because, we're taking back toast from who took it from
from the big toast
from
the big toast in the sky.
Yeah.
Well, so my wife, she likes to cook a lot as well. I got her. It's called a Ninja Creamy. And
Ninja makes good products.
Yeah, it makes like ice cream.
I've got an air fryer from Ninja.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it makes like ice cream, sorbet. I've recently figured out. Well, I think I've denied this for the last 20 years of my life, but I've recently come to terms with it. I'm lactose intolerant to a certain degree. So like during the ALCS, I got nervous during game 1 of the Rangers Astros series. And so I just grabbed like half a pint of Blue Bell and I like house this thing. I'm just eating like I'm watching Jose Leclerc try to close it out. And I woke up at like 11:30 that night and my body was like, that was a horrible decision. And you're going to pay for that. And so that was kind of the beginning of like, okay, maybe I don't need to eat ice cream anymore, but you can make sorbet and other things.
Well, you can also use
non-dairy
or lactose-free milk.
Lactose-free milk, yeah. There's possibilities.
Listen, science in advance. So, I mean, like I just told you about the toast. Toast is well behind milk as far as technological advancements. We're just now, like, scratching the surface on the possibility of toast.
So it's just one setting? Like, if you're toasting bread, is there a bunch of different options?
Yeah, you can, it's got, 1 to 10 on how, if you want it lightly toasted or, burnt to a crisp, I guess. And then, if you select maybe I'll bring it in here and you can shoot it. But if you want a bagel, you do the touch screen over to bagel. If you want a waffle, you choose if it's fresh or frozen or there's a third option, which I have not
explored.
Yeah. Okay. If you want a toaster pastry, like a Pop-Tart or a toaster strudel, you can.
Oh, toaster strudels. Those are good.
Yeah. No, that's probably next week's, what can I toast adventure.
That should be a new segment for the big show. People give you things to toast and you report back.
I'll go through the settings and all of the different things that there are, and I'll just go one by one until I get through all of them.
Start another YouTube channel. It's just Paul's Toast Reviews.
Yeah. All right, brought to you by the Revolution Toaster. Here we go. This is we go. And look, I'm not a person, I'll tell you, who eats a tremendous amount of toast, but I am now.
Do your kids eat toast, Garrett?
It's not a big go-to. They'll eat it, but it's not like a main staple in the house.
Yeah, we did breakfast for dinner last night, and my 2-year-old Sawyer, he kept asking, he ate a piece of toast, he kept asking for it.
Yeah.
He had 3 of them. I was like, geez, man. Of course, he was watching Mario Brothers, or as he calls it, Mario Brothers. And so he'll just, if he watches TV while he eats, he'll just kind of keep eating until you tell him, okay, you've had enough food. Yeah. Let's move on. But
he says Mario Brothers?
Yeah, he says Mario Brothers.
That's very Italian. I'll tell you that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I've had many people hey, brother, where you been? So, yeah. Or Hawaiian, depending on where you are. But
well, there you go. Yeah. Maybe you're just putting a little flavor on it. I didn't know.
Yeah. This. Although I've been told this is the Mario Brothers that maybe dispatches with the antiquated "I'm Mario" because it's Chris Pratt.
Yeah, it gets away from. There's not a lot of that kind of cartoonish Italian accent.
Yeah, we're one of the last bastions of racism that you can get away with. We
That's
brought
true.
that.
Yeah.
We brought that on ourselves, but there's a certain amount of
stereotypical.
Yeah, Mamma Mia, that's a spicy meatball. We can't say anything about it. You can't really do that with anyone else, but Italians are like, nah, okay. Yeah, don't like it, but we also were the ones that somehow crossed over to the other side, and we're like, oh yeah, we're white too. Boo! Yeah, you didn't notice, did you? Yeah. Don't look too far down this way. So, anyway, let's get to the task at hand, which is college football. Stephen, we've got Washington and Michigan. Washington and Michael Penix Jr. It's funny to me to see all these people who are like national analysts that don't follow college football have just seen Michael Penix Jr. and they're like, where did this guy come from?
He's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he's been great for the last 2 years. He didn't just crawl out of the primordial ooze and oh my gosh.
Well, and even back at Indiana, I mean, he was good, he was a fun, he's on TV, you need to get to the television. Probably not going to beat Ohio State or Michigan, but he's at least makes those games competitive because he's so dynamic. But yes, it was funny to see of course, there's always overreaction and everything, but now it's suddenly is Michael Penix QB1 in the NFL draft? And it's well, he's been doing things like this for months. You guys have just been focused on Caleb Williams, I guess.
Yeah, it is weird. He was fantastic the other night, and we Garrett and I have talked a lot about Roma Dunze all year.
It's cold, yeah,
because he's just so smooth, and so we've got that two very different styles. Then we got Michigan, who is not I'm just gonna tell you, they're not fun to watch in the classical sense of, wow, what's Michigan gonna do? But they're extremely efficient. Mm-hmm. They're I'll tell you, my favorite, and this is another old guy thing, my favorite app to use in the world is the Starbucks app because it has everything you want in it. You can put everybody gets, I don't know why people don't use it completely because when you go up and tell somebody a complicated coffee order and then they mess it up, well, it's kind of on both of you. Right. But if you have a computer that says all these things and they mess up, you're like, hey,
this is in writing.
This is in writing. This is how it is. So you can do that. But it's not nobody thinks about that because it's just efficient and boring. Mm-hmm. But they're the Starbucks app of football, where it's just all right, well, the goal is to block and tackle and score more points than the other guy. There's no style points in football, and Jim Harbaugh believes that to his core. So he just goes and there we go, another one bites the dust.
And the thing that really impressed me about Michigan, yes, offensively, they are very direct. You know what they're going to do. They're going to run the football. J.J. McCarthy can make plays, but at their core, they are, let's line up, hit people, block, get positive yards, especially on first and second down. But, Paul, that defensive line in the first half was so overwhelming. I mean, the question about Michigan has been, and they've figured out the Ohio State conundrum, but for a long time, all right, these Big Ten offenses, a lot of them are pretty antiquated. When they face real skill players, more complicated schemes, are they going to be able to keep up? And I know Jalen Milroe is limited to a certain extent, but they just overwhelmed that Alabama offensive line. And that was the second time we saw that this year. We saw it in the Texas game back in September. UT was able to really push them around. Michigan did something similar. They bounced back. They won that football game. I'm stoked for this match. I really don't have a great feel of what to expect. Mm-hmm. Washington is so talented on the outside. And, it's funny because Kalen DeBoer he might be the best coach that nobody really talks about. I don't feel like we talk about him a lot.
He was the AP Coach of the Year.
Yes, but at the same time, and he's won everywhere he's been. At the same time, that game management at the end of that Texas game.
Oh, I thought he had to. I thought he had to maybe, if you do that, sometimes you have to give that award back. The committee, the AP.
We had a recount.
Hey, listen, you got to read the fine print when you just enable a team to, especially a team like Texas, which Smokey calls Horseshoe U, because when when Texas has been good, their luck matches their skill in a way that it's just how it is. Look, you're a TCU fan, you know how it is. When Texas is good, they get breaks, and they got none of them for 58 minutes and 15 seconds. Then all those breaks they didn't get for 58 minutes and 15 seconds just rolled out of the slot machine like they hit 777s. Yeah. I mean, and it's just, fortunately for Washington and people who didn't want to see Texas in the national championship game, Washington made the one play on defense they had to make. But yeah, they play a little bit fast and loose. And
so they do. And it's like, I mean, I respect it. I like it. But it's kind of like, the Cowboy game you're talking about, you're watching the plane. Mike McCarthy throws this fade pattern on second down when Dallas basically could have run the clock out. Yeah. I mean, they could have given Detroit the ball with under a minute left, no timeouts. They end up, giving them like a minute 45 and they go down and score. And after the game, McCarthy's like, well, I was just trying to win the ball game. And it's like, well, sometimes winning the ball game is just sitting on the ball and running the clock out. Like, it doesn't always have to be, I appreciate the aggressiveness, but it doesn't always have to be like, all right, we're going for it on fourth down, or we're going to take a shot here, we're going to throw a pass deep. Sometimes it's just running the ball, but Washington did win it. I wanted to ask both of you guys, Garrett and Paul, a question, though, because I'm watching that Texas game. And I think Quinn Ewers has improved a lot.
Yes.
I feel like he's much better. And, I mean, based on what he did last year.
Arrows pointed up.
But did you watch that game? Because the talk is he's probably coming back next year. Can they win a title? Like, is their ceiling at a point where they can win a title with him at QB? Because I know nothing about Arch. Like, I don't. So I can't say definitively who he is. But I came away from that football game thinking, man, I think Quinn might be the weak link on this team.
If he continues up, though, I think he's rising.
Trending the right way?
Yeah. I do think, though, that I think he's trending the right way. He was spotty, although I don't think it was just him. I mean, pass rush the offensive line had one of their worst games of the season in pass pro the other night. And they could not get Mitchell and Worthy involved early, but I think they can, because I think if you look around at, the teams that are going to have a lot of returning players back and the teams that will do well in the transfer portal, and the key to me is always, returning quarterback. Like, if you look at the four teams that were in it this year, the only one that had a new quarterback was Alabama, and they're there by the virtue of they shouldn't. I mean, we all know they should. In a normal scenario, they wouldn't have been there.
They beat Georgia and
in that. So Georgia or Alabama would have been the only ones without returning quarterbacks. But Penix was back, McCarthy's back. Look, I'll just say the team that should have been there if he wasn't hurt at all, with Jordan Travis back. Those best teams in the country usually have their quarterback back.
That's true.
If they have him back, considering that J.J. McCarthy could very likely be gone, although I think he might come back too. But
I think he will.
He could be gone because they're not active in the transfer portal or anything yet. And so I know they've got that Orgy guy who they probably like, but
I mean, they don't have a great choice behind them.
Yeah.
So I think they'll roll with them. But I don't know. I was watching that game and I was like, man, are they like a dynamic QB away?
Yeah.
And it might be Quinn, just another year, more experience, being better.
Because he does a lot of different things, but he just he's only had a couple games where Big 12 title game being one of them. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
This guy won the game on his own. Mm-hmm. They don't have that from them, where Michael Penix can do that.
Right.
My thought on that is I think Quinn is good enough to win a Natty, but I think he missed his window. Because if you go, he's going to come back next year. I think Quinn individually will get better. He's going to progress and get better, but you lost all your weapons.
Yeah.
And I know Deontay Cook's going to be good, right? But he's going to be young. You get Matthew Golden coming over, but we need to see him stay healthy. We need to see the consistency there. You lost Mitchell, Worthy. You lost all your weapons around you. If you weren't able to do it this year.
And the road gets tougher.
Correct.
Now.
I don't know how much better you can get without having that cast around you to help.
Yeah, they play Michigan next year as well. So, in addition to the, SEC schedule, they have to. And then ending the season, here's the thing that, I think it's interesting about Texas' schedule is they have a rivalry at the end of the season that for at least 1 year will be as vicious as it's ever been because it's been on pause for more than a decade at the very end of the season. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out. And that's going to happen right before the postseason. And so how that game goes, whether they win or lose it, it's going to be one of those where, afterwards you're like, well, this guy's out and this guy's out and this guy's out because
physical football
you hit just a little bit harder in that game because there's going to be two cities full of people that are keyed up in a way that they, even for Texas and OU haven't been. for a long time because this rivalry is coming back with A&M. So there's things about next season, and like maybe they're not going to, but I would put them in the category of, all right, well, I feel better about Texas with Quinn Ewers coming back, no matter if they do lose Worthy and Sanders and Mitchell and all those guys, than I do about, say, Ohio State, who we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. That like they recruit, like they're probably going to be good, but a lot of these other teams are with transfer guys that are going to be 1-year hits. Like, all right, I think DJU's a great fit at Florida State, but like, is he good enough to get them back to where they were 13-0? I don't know. Who are the other people you're losing, and how do you replace them? So it's going to be tough. Like, college football is going to be more and more like the NFL, and so I don't think you're going to see 10-year runs like you did before with programs. You might see 3- and 4-year runs, and then like a year or two where it's like, they're fine, but they're not, because free agency exists now in college football. And it changed free agency killed the Cowboys dynasty. The salary cap and free agency, free agency helped it. Like, Plan B free agency is how they built the team. Right. But then the salary cap killed it, right? So, they were in a position where they're like, all right, we're going to keep all these guys. And they're like, all right, well, now they're all retired and we're still paying them. We didn't know that part of how the salary cap worked. And now, we're 25 years out of that, and we still operate like we're paying Troy Aikman. But nobody else in the league cares about the cap, and they've all figured it out. But, Stephen Jones is still there like, hey, we don't want to.
We don't rock the boat here.
We don't want to go get this guy from the Eagles that would help us and hurt the Eagles. We're not gonna trade for A.J. Brown. What are you, insane? We're the Joneses, not the Rockefellers. Like, what do you everything else we do is opulent. No, but yeah, I think you're going to say that. I do think that Quinn Ewers has pointed up. I do like I like their potential, and I think Sark's good. I think Sark's the guy for that program, because I think he understands it in a way that Mac Brown did.
They've certainly got the culture and identity back of like, we're physical, we're talented, like, we're coming at you.
Yeah, I think they have what Mac built of, look, you're only as good as what you've done, not what everybody else has, which is what, I think elite programs go through. Texas went through it probably more publicly than most, because they are Texas and they have a very loud, large fan base, and they had this whole time they had their own channel until this year, until this year's over, that was like, hey, isn't Texas great? And you're like, well, I'm not by what I'm seeing on your actual channel. The years before the channel, you sure were.
You keep replaying that Rose Bowl. That was good.
But like, nothing I'm seeing now is really all that great. So it made it worse for Texas, I think. Now that, they're actually built in substance and not history. It's like, oh man, 2005 was great. I'm like, all right, well, before 2005, let's talk about how long it was. That's something that like fans don't like to talk about when they have dynasty teams or teams that are blue bloods. Is like, well, how long was it between the times?
Yeah.
Like the 70s to 2005 was a lot. Like, people, born and grew up and had children that never knew, that
they were a blue blood program.
Yeah, that just thought of them like, oh, well, they're kind of good. Occasionally, I'll see them in a bowl game. Like, that's what you saw. So, yeah, I think Texas has pointed up. I think they've got it fixed there. So I but we'll see. Again, like, no team really goes into a new conference very often and just wrecks shop in it.
Yeah.
So especially, this isn't like TCU coming into the Big 12, which was kind of in flux. This is them joining a conference at its peak.
Yes.
They're not starting the band. They're joining it. So as it's gotten bigger. But as far as the Michigan and Washington game, I kind of agree with you. I don't really know how to like put my finger on the matchups, because the thing I thought that Michigan would struggle into Alabama was against the playmakers, but they kind of did well.
Yeah, they did well. I would, if I had to pick straight up today, I'd pick Michigan, but I think it's going to be a great football game. And it's one of those where, as you said, styles make fights, and it's kind of who's going to be able to impose their will on the other team.
And Washington will have Dylan Johnson back too, by the way. Yeah. So that should help them.
All right, well, he looked way hurt than that, but I think he was banged up, and I think he probably, on one of those dumb calls of like, look, okay, you're not getting this first down by running the ball against Texas right here. Like, they're not going to let you do that. Like, maybe just take a knee and take 40 seconds off the clock, and then they're probably not going to have time to do what they need to do.
Right.
Considering that, that play and then the long snapper running into Jordan Whittington. And that one's not on Kalen DeBoer.
It's not. It's just bad execution.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things you sit down and be like, hey, that, like, there's two things you aren't allowed to do on these punt returns. You can't hit a guy in the back, and the guy who's catching the ball, you can't hit him until he's caught the ball. Like, those are the two basic things that you have to think of every time.
He thought he was going to be a hero.
You didn't do the first one, so good. Second one.
Let's get back in the film room. Run that one back.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, there's some transfer portal news and things that are going on. Will Howard is visiting Ohio State. Is Will Howard an Ohio State QB? Does he fit that? We'll talk about that next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. So we are down to one college football game left, Michigan versus Washington. And now we're in the part of the college football calendar that gets even weirder. So two teams are preparing to play a game. Two teams that will also need to get some of these transfer portal players, which is very weird to me that, like, they're both going to have to spend some time this week while they're preparing for the most important game of anyone's lives that's involved in this program. The coaches are also going to have a call of a guy like, hey, I see that you're interested in transferring to our school. Would you like to come and set up a visit? Please come.
Yeah, Sonny Dykes talked about that at his signing day presser. He said, I mean, obviously coaches have a certain spin to everything. But he said that one thing that helped them with not having bowl prep this year was it did allow them to fully invest in recruiting. And he talked about the previous year. He was like, it was really weird. We were trying to watch film and prepare for Georgia. And at the same time, we got people in the building and we're like working the phones and trying to sell people on, hey, come play for us. And we still didn't really know, like, our current players. We didn't know what all of them were going to do. Yeah. We didn't exactly know what our needs were going to be. I think Michigan and Washington will probably be a little bit better set up for this because they most likely kind of expected this to happen. But it's one of the very strange things about the sport is you're constantly in talent acquisition mode even when you're preparing for the biggest game of your career.
Yeah. I mean, that's why the NFL doesn't have free agency for the Super Bowl teams during Super Bowl week.
Right, yeah.
Like, they're not like, oh, hey, but here's I'll give you the recruiting pitch for Michigan and Washington right now as they host anybody who's getting ready for a playoff game or a postseason game. Like, I'd like to take you by the film room where we're actively at work trying to win a trophy. I don't know if the last place you win is doing that right now. Are they doing that? They're not. Yeah. So, I mean, it's fine. They're doing their own thing. They're trying hard. We appreciate that. We appreciate it a lot when we beat them this year by 27 points. But you see my coaches. There's your position coach. He's going to come and talk to you in about an hour when he's done with this film session that's getting ready to win a trophy.
Sorry, we don't have much more time for you. We're trying to play a national title game.
Please walk around with these three hot girls, and they'll take you to lunch while we prepare to
playing the national title
game. Like you like our attention is fully on you once we're done preparing to win this trophy that every player in the country wishes they would win. And you could be here doing that next year if you come here and not the place you were yesterday. Just saying, because they had way more time for you than I do. So
that's not a bad pitch.
Yeah.
And I mean, most of this is handled by the NL collectives anyway at this point. So it's like, all right, our money guys down there, we're going to handle all this.
Yeah. Yes. Please, ladies, take him to the money guy.
Take him to the bag man. Those are legal now. We just have him kind of out and about.
Yeah. His name's Dennis. Great guy.
His name's Jimmy. Before, I never saw him before 11 p.m. Now he's just here during the day.
Yeah. One of these girls is his daughter. He doesn't seem to mind it. I'm conflicted about it, but what the hell? I'm winning games. So, yeah, it is a weird thing. But there's some interesting transfers that have happened. One I want to talk about real quick with Garrett because I love his opinion on this.
Okay.
Malik Hornsby from Texas State, who was at Arkansas, who is a fantastic athlete, but is really intent on being a quarterback, and I don't think he is back in the transfer portal. And God bless the coach that convinced him, like, listen, dude, you can make millions of dollars if you would be a wide receiver or maybe even a defensive back, although he's kind of tall. So, 6'2", 180, so he's not.
You see, all right, Jalen Miller spent the whole week, right, like talking about how Bill O'Brien was trying to get him to change positions. And I understand that, but if you're a person like Malik Hornsby at this point, right, like you have not been able to figure it out consistently to play the quarterback position at this level. Like if you want to continue playing football, then at some point you got to put your pride, your ego, everything to the side, adapt, go play receiver, and try to extend that and make a career out of it in the NFL. I hope he gets it. I hope he gets an opportunity, and I hope it just comes like the reality comes to him like, this is my last shot, and I need to take advantage of it because I don't know who's going to give him an opportunity at the quarterback.
He read that article about Lamar Jackson and his mom and how very intent they were on keeping him as a QB, and he was like, "That's me. Like I'm going to stay the course with this." It just hasn't worked out for him. But there's so many guys, Paul, now that are on their third or fourth school in 3 years. It's very odd, but it's always tough. I get it. Like, I mean, there's tons of examples of this, but guys that play a position their whole life, they excelled at it. Like they still think they're confident, they're athletes. They still think they're the guy. But as Garrett said, at a certain point, it's like, okay, do I want to get on the field?
Yeah.
And this seems like a pathway to get on the field. So
absolutely,
I got to make that change.
Yeah. By the way, Bill O'Brien, famously known as a naysayer.
Let him know, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but the one we want to talk about the most in this segment is Will Howard and Ohio State. It appears that USC, and they're in a weird spot now because Miller Moss started the Holiday Bowl and set a record and looked fantastic. Fantastic. And he didn't even have, like, Mario Williams. They had starters, like guys in the transfer portal. He looked fantastic. And at some point, too, Lincoln Riley, I think I said this to Ryan Abraham, who covers the Trojans, when we had him on. Like, at some point, Lincoln Riley needs to remember that you're Lincoln freaking Riley, man. Like, I feel like he's lost that a little bit this last, year and a half where, dude, you're Lincoln Riley. You're in demand. Like, you have a superpower. It's coaching quarterbacks. Maybe you don't always have to go to the transfer portal to get one. Maybe the guy that you picked, Miller Moss,
can play.
Like, just play him. You could get somebody else. Like, you'll probably have to get a transfer portal quarterback, but he's always going to have a 4 or 5 star guy coming in. He can probably always get a transfer to at least be a serviceable backup and coach him up better than most people in the country. You've got Cliff Kingsbury on your staff. Like, I think Miller Moss, you might have just simplified your life and you can go work on changing your defensive scheme and getting the players that your new defensive staff wants. But so Will Howard, a lot of people thought that's probably where he's going to go. I even thought all right, well,
Yeah.
Is Will Howard a Lincoln Riley guy? I mean, is he a Cliff Kingsbury guy? Because again, between those two guys, we've got Manziel, Mahomes, Williams,
Murray,
Hurts, and Mayfield. It's
a pretty good list.
That is a list. If for college quarterbacks and now for some pro quarterbacks too. Like you've got like the hit rate is, three guys who are like one guy who's in a Super Bowl, two guys that are pretty good and serviceable at least and will have long NFL careers, the best quarterback in the world right now, and a guy who washed out because of personal problems. So like you whiffed on one and it wasn't even your fault. It was his. So those are all those things that exist. So if you're Miller Moss, like I'm not one to try, like I'm going to tell these two quarterback gurus, like I'm your guy. I throw 6 touchdown passes. And if I'm the two quarterback gurus, I'm like, you know what? I think we got our answer right here. Like, if this guy can throw 6 touchdown passes in a week, or like one game out, like we can maybe not expect 6, but like we can probably get 3 and then get other players. So I think if they kind of adjust what they do, they're fine. So Will Howard doesn't really fit there as much anymore. And look, if he goes there, then he's probably going to be the starter. Or maybe, I don't know. But Ohio State has an opening. I just don't feel like Will Howard is that dude. And maybe he is. And I like Will Howard. I think Will Howard is a gamer. I think that he's someone you can rely on. He's got a ton of experience. He's won a conference title. There's all these things. He's certainly got some talent. He's a little bit mobile. He can do a lot of things. But he also got kind of
pushed out
because they had a guy who's better than him.
I mean, yeah, Avery Johnson forced his hand, essentially. And, I mean, to Will Howard's credit, like, Adrian Martinez was supposed to be the dude on that K-State team that won the title, but he was so good, and, of course, Martinez dealt with injuries, and he wasn't always available, that eventually they said, okay, we're going to go with this guy. And then this season was kind of up and down. But from an Ohio State perspective, it just feels like, okay, you had Kyle McCord, who you basically let walk because the thought is we need to get better at this position. We need to get more dynamic there. And all due respect to Will Howard, this is just not a guy to me who like jumps off the page as far as raising your ceiling. I mean, I think he can do a lot of what Kyle McCord did, which is protect the football, beat all the teams on your schedule that you should beat. But if you want to take that next step, I don't see him as the guy. But there's no more fascinating position now in this new world than QB.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like the NFL. It's like if you have a dude, even if, like, I don't know, Kirk Cousins is kind of the ultimate example about this. We've debated for 7 years whether or not Kirk Cousins is like an elite QB. Like he's a dude that can do the job and he puts up good numbers. And Washington didn't want to pay him, so he goes to Minnesota, and it's kind of been the same thing. Like, he puts up good numbers, and they make the playoffs, but he's not necessarily an elite guy. Dak Prescott right now trying to beat that same narrative, right? Like, is Dak just another dude who you can win a lot of games with, or is he actually a game-changing elite QB? And so if you have a player, like if you have a guy in your house like McCord who can get the job done, if you bring somebody else in, you're going to make him mad and chase him off. Or if you decide, like, okay, we're going to swing for the fences, we're going to let him go, and we're going to try to get somebody else, well, then you got to go get somebody who can raise your, win total. And I don't know if Will Howard's that player. I just think he's another dude.
So, I mean, you have to, and you and I talked about this when Kyle McCord went in the portal a month ago. Mm-hmm. He went in really fast. He was kind of the shaggy one. Okay, if your goal now is, if you've kind of pushed Kyle McCord out the door, which it appears is what happened, then you have to find a guy who is at least 11-1.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is Will Howard that guy? I mean, maybe in that system that you think like, okay, well, he's going to have way better wide receivers than he had at Kansas State. Yeah. Great skill players.
Great O-line.
Everything's going to be better, which, okay, that's fine. But if you still go 11-1 next year and lose to Michigan, Ryan Day is in one of the most unique positions in the country where he can go 11-1, lose to Michigan, not play in the Big Ten title game because there might be another team out. I mean, of course, they'd probably play him again. But, like, if he goes 11-1, loses to Michigan, maybe somehow there's another 11-1 team out there that sneaks in and because they didn't play them and they're in the Big 12, the Big Ten title game. And he then goes in the playoff and wins it. Like, everybody would be thrilled about the national championship, but, some of the big money donors would be like, well, you didn't beat Michigan, so congratulations, but Michigan. And so if you don't do that, and like that game means less, so maybe I'm wrong about that.
Right.
But it does feel like there's a minority, a loud minority of Ohio State fans that are just incensed that that's the only game they can't win for the last couple of years because they won it for so long because Michigan was just in a hole. But is Will Howard the guy to get you over that hump and like beat Michigan, win playoff games? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's that much better than Kyle McCord, a guy who threw 24 touchdown passes to 6 interceptions. So it's 4-1. Like,
yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, I could see a scenario where they're like, all right, we're going to build this thing around him. We're going to go heavy power run game with our QB and with our running backs. But to your question, Paul, then it's like, okay, well, in the fourth quarter, if he has to make throws against a really good Wolverine defense, can he do that? Because that's still the big overarching thing that's surrounding this team and surrounding your job status is kind of that hump that you haven't been able to get over so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and look, his schedule next year is they've got Oregon, Penn State, Michigan are the ones that you would say, like, okay, these are the tough ones. Mm-hmm. Michigan State, Iowa, like they're non-conferences. Nothing. I mean, Nebraska is going to be intriguing, right. But I don't think at this point where I would say like, oh, that's one where you've got to circle at this point. But so they've got a schedule that, yeah, Will Howard could come in there and probably
win a lot of games.
So, but also, like, is that what you're going to do? I mean, or do you bring in Will Howard and see if like he likes it there, and do you take a chance on a guy like a Caden Salter? Who's out there, who's dynamic, very dynamic, although he has not played against
what do we make of Caden Salter? Because, I mean, they like that Liberty schedule was what it was. They beat everybody, and he put up huge numbers, but it was one of the weakest schedules in the country. But now, I mean, he was recruited by Tennessee, highly recruited out of high school, got into some trouble there, ended up at Liberty. And, I mean, I think Auburn makes the most sense because he'll just go hook up with Hugh Freeze again. But I don't know. He's a fascinating test case too.
Yeah, and then you've got quarterbacks from UNLV and play like those guys. Like he's pretty Jordan Maiava, I believe his name is. And so you've got him out there that he's kind of intriguing, but he's also a redshirt freshman. You've got Aaron Nolan coming in. You've got some guys, but I don't know. Like Will Howard is the steadiest option, right? He's steady, and maybe that's what you need. Especially since you push steady out the door, because that's what Kyle McCord was.
And what does their room look like? They got Ball, Ohio State. I guess he would be the one competing with Howard. Yeah, essentially.
And, Brown. I mean, still there, but we just saw his, debut start, which was not great. But I can't completely put that on him.
Bowl game with a lot of opt outs, but still didn't look super.
No, he wasn't taking over the game. Although I do respect the 33. I wish more quarterbacks did that. I'm gonna keep saying that. Like,
yeah.
Go old school, like little flutie action, like 22. 22 is a great quarterback number. I don't know why quarterbacks are so snotty about having numbers that are
like running back numbers. Yeah.
Like why are you so cool that having something over 19 is beneath you? Shea Patterson, I remember he was at Ole Miss. He was
in the 20s, right?
He was in the 20s.
Bernard Robinson rocked 99 back in the day.
Yeah.
At Michigan.
He was on the show recently, wasn't he?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So they had Bernard Robinson on the show a couple weeks ago when I was on my way to Nashville. So, he was 98. He was doing it for Tom Harmon.
Okay.
Would you like a quick trivia question?
Sure.
Who is Tom Harmon's extremely famous son?
I don't know.
Is none other than Leroy Jethro Gibbs himself.
Oh, Scott Harmon.
Mark Harmon.
Okay.
Star of Summer School. Very underrated 80s movie.
Is NCIS still on the air?
There's like 7 of them.
Okay. Yeah. I don't watch a lot of CBS. I'm sorry.
I married into a CBS family. It's something to adjust to.
Isn't Gibbs like 100 years old?
Well, I don't think he's on the show now. I think he's left.
Okay.
So,
he's left. Okay.
Yeah. At least from the commercials. Like I've been able to put my foot down and be like, listen, we could, like, I'm all about The Amazing Race. I'm all about Big Brother. I'll watch.
Amazing Race is great.
Yeah. I love The Amazing Race. It's very fun. I love Ghost. Ghost is very funny.
Yep.
Ghost is great. Especially if you're a history buff. Ghost is like really good. But like when you're telling me like NCIS, like they're in Australia now or something. Like there's not that much crime related to the Navy, is there?
The Australian Navy? I guess that makes a ton of sense.
No, I guess it's like a partnership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where, again, Australia, a place that's not really awash in crime, as far as I know. In fact, I often see Australia as kind of an idyllic place I would like to live.
Yeah.
Some of the problems that we have, they have seemingly solved.
You just hope to don't run into like a kangaroo or something. But other than that,
that's what I'll listen. I'll take kangaroos and crocs and all kind of weird poisonous snakes over maybe some of the things that you deal with other places.
it's kind of just like Florida without the crime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And larger animals that'll get you. But yeah, I don't. It seems to be a fun place that wouldn't seemingly have a lot of Navy crime, but maybe I don't know.
Maybe yeah.
But yeah, no. So, but yes, Mark Harmon played football at UCLA and then became a very popular actor. Yeah. So there you go. There's your little piece of trivia. When we come back, Stephen and I debate sponsors who can take over a bowl and make it the next Pop-Tarts Bowl. Because I do think that a lot of these bowls, this is what they need to do. You just need to lean into the ridiculousness of the fact that this game means absolutely nothing anymore. Which Pop-Tarts is like, listen, this is a huge event for Pop-Tarts to show off, and there's a football game that people are going to enjoy, so we're going to lean into this. Who is the next Pop-Tarts Bowl? That is next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Stephen Simcox, Locked on Horned Frogs, alongside. Stephen, before we get to our fun topic of the day, well, it's not like the other ones weren't fun and we didn't go off the rails, but how do you feel about TCU's offseason so far?
I like what they've done. They've really gone heavy with offensive linemen in the portal. Now, the age-old question is, can you really build an O-line, a competent O-line in the portal? Because a lot of people have tried and haven't had a ton of success yet. At least like finding 3 or 4 guys that can do it. But I then we got Bless Harris from Florida State, who was kind of in and out of the lineup there for a few years. Remington Strickland from A&M, a couple guys from the G5 level. So I think, speaking of quarterbacks and kind of the weird conundrum everybody's in, they saw enough from Josh Hoover that they like what he brings to the table. And so their approach has kind of been, okay, let's build the team around him. So let's get better up front. Let's go, find some skill guys that make this work. We'll change up the DC and get Andy Avalos from Boise State and become more aggressive on defense. So I think they've done a good job. And I still feel like Sonny knows what he's doing, but man, they need to have a big bounce back year because 5-7 is not acceptable, and you just gotta get better quickly.
Well, and look, they Gary Patterson constructed the greatest roster in TCU history, but they were just emotionally worn down by Gary Patterson. And then Sonny Dykes was the right guy at the right time, and now he has to match that roster construction.
Yeah, now he's got to build it, right?
Yeah, now he's got to build it. So, all right, what brands could be the next Pop-Tarts Bowl? Because Pop-Tarts should do this now in perpetuity. Like they should just do until we're tired of the bit. Which I do think they were creative enough to where maybe this could get more and more interesting if they're willing to take it to new levels each time. Like it's not just going to be the same thing. It's going to be something different.
Well, and it's a once a year thing. So you feel like, because the Outback Bowl, they kind of lived off this for a while.
Yeah.
They had the promotion where the winner gets, or whichever, each team was paired up with an appetizer.
Yeah.
So the Bloomin' Onion, and I forget what the other one was. But they had the Bloomin' Onion there, and it was kind of like a cool niche thing. And the Pop-Tarts Bowl, I think they could capitalize on something similar.
Does the hotel room that's
Yes,
like Cheez It, like those kind of things. So who are the brands that need to do this?
So I'm interested to hear your answer, because when you texted this to me, my first thought was, okay, what other mascots could be edible, right?
Yeah.
Because that's really like the Pop-Tarts mascot was hilarious.
Or like, because Duke's Mayo, I think, does this Dukes does this really well. Pop-Tarts does this really well.
They do the mayo bath.
Yeah.
My
the
first
coffee one that Jeff Traylor had this year, I thought that was a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first thought was Subway, because you can have an edible foot long, or bigger for the team after the game, and then have some sort of interactive Subway mascot. I think they're probably looking for some new branding, because the whole Jared thing didn't work out super well.
No.
Kind of went downhill in a big way.
But they've had a rough go of it internationally. You can't call their bread anywhere outside the United States. Like we're lax on like what our bread standards are, but France is like, this is no bread.
But I feel like
I spit on you poo.
I feel like Subway could make a viral moment with an edible mascot and have some fun. That was my first thought. Subway sandwich mascot.
Yeah. Subway sandwich. I'll go with, look, I'm more of a Jersey Mike's guy, but yeah.
I like Jersey Mike's too.
Yeah, I think Jersey Mike's might have a little more fun with this. I think Subway takes itself a little bit too seriously sometimes. And look, they spend a ton of money on marketing. A ton. I mean, they're like, when it comes to not only like the level, like some people will get like one or two spokesmen that are like high dollar, but they like, we're going to get just every NFL quarterback and Serena Williams and, Steph Curry. And like, if you're in a sport, they're not picking the, like, who's like, well, and no offense to Travis Kelce, but he's the second most, until he started dating Taylor Swift, he was the second most important player on his team. So he was more personality based than, even though he's a great player and a future Hall of Famer, like that was more like, well, he's personality. Like Subway goes for like.
They go for A-listers.
A-listers.
The other thought I just had. So Jack.
Like you're not seeing Sam Rockwell in the Subway movie. Like it's Meryl Streep, right?
It's not character actors.
Yeah.
So Jack in the Box really leans in well to the idea that that's the place you go after a long night.
Yeah, of partying.
Maybe, you had some substances. So what about a Jack in the Box bowl that starts at midnight? We'll put it on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So it's like 10 p.m., but it's, midnight Central, 1 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
And we get, like, they get all the munchies, they get all the late night snacks.
Maybe 9 o'clock.
Yeah, at 9 o'clock. We could do that. But we'll just call it, Jack in the Box After Dark or something.
Yeah.
And it just be super weird. You could put Bill Walton on it. I don't know, like throw Bill in the booth.
Yeah.
Maybe have a comedian.
Who's the football Bill Walton? There's got to be a football Bill Walton out there.
That's a good question.
I mean, you could throw Snoop over there. He does work with Jack in the Box. He does the play-by-play.
Yeah.
Throw it on there.
Yeah. Like that's the kind of thing
you could have like a mega cast. You could have like a 420 cam with Snoop.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Bill Walton. And
some of these like mood gummies. They're like legal weed that you ship around, like those kind of things.
Pat McAfee would probably be interested in going over there. I don't know. He seems to be like a guy that has some fun.
Yeah, no, that would be a good one. Jack in the Box needs to lean in.
Late night bowl game.
Yeah. I would like to see someone like a chicken finger person, like Raising Cane's, get really into it. The Chick-fil-A is unfortunate. Like they're the sponsor of the Peach Bowl, so they can't really, like, you can't have a nugget, like a Chick-fil-A soft bath would be pretty hilarious, or a nugget bath. Although I would not like to see all those nuggets just hit the ground. That's not like mayonnaise. It's just easily replaceable. Like that's
that's
again
stuff.
But like you could have like if you were Chick-fil-A, I wish would lean into this more, where you could have, like we determined on this show, we're going to do this one time, the Chick-fil-A Nugget Tray Challenge. Where, did I talk to you about this? Was Chris? Okay. So how many nugget, like if you were just given the nugget tray, 100 nugget tray that you would take to a party.
Yeah.
And just said, okay, Steven, this is what you've got. We're going to watch college football from the 11 a.m. kicks till Pac-12 after dark. How many of those nuggets can you take down in that period?
Man, I mean, I don't want to sound cocky, but I feel like I could polish the platter.
You think yeah. Garrett, how do you think you could do?
I could get close. I mean, I don't know. I could probably do about 65 or 70.
Okay. Jack, Chick-fil-A Nugget Challenge, 100 nugget tray. Starting 11 a.m. kick to Pac-12 after dark. Gone. I could probably do about 40. I could. Really, honestly. Yeah, I know.
I mean, realistically, I'd probably hit a wall, but it just seems like, I mean, that's five instances during the day where you have 20 nuggets. That seems feasible.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I think like that would be something I think Chick-fil-A should get behind.
For sure. Have you ever gotten to cover a Peach Bowl?
No, I've not. I've wanted to. I've wanted because I love Atlanta. I love going there.
Yeah, I covered TCU Ole Miss in 2014, and it was just Chick-fil-A food was just hanging out in every room. It was the best experience ever. Yeah,
the having Chick-fil-A in a press box is great. The best sometimes you have food they just make that's good, but the best chain meal is we're at UCF this year. And theirs is the mellow mushroom, which is fantastic. So
pizza?
Yeah, pizza and wings.
Nice.
Yeah, pizza and wings for the mellow mushroom. So UCF does it up right. But mellow mushroom would be another great bowl sponsor. I'll just tell you, they've got a good vibe. But I'm trying to it's mostly got to be foods, right? Or
one I thought of, which is not, I don't know. I think Barstool's kind of leaning into this. I didn't watch the Barstool Bowl this year, so I don't know how they did it, but. And there's probably some compliance issues here, but if DraftKings or FanDuel ever wanted to sponsor a bowl, and
Barstool can't now because they're not in the casino business anymore.
Yes, but you just have I don't know. They found a loophole where you can have basically live betting during the game. You have 5 or 6 people there that are placing bets while the game's going on, and that's a huge focus of your coverage. I mean, I think that would do well on television.
Yeah. I know I'm not knocking places like Tax Act, but what can you do that's fun?
Not much.
Like the winning coach are your taxes are on us this year. Then you would want then that would be worth our taxes are paid for. We got to get to the Texas Bowl.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, Bad Boy Mowers, I guess you could put somebody on a lawnmower after the game. Have them
lawnmower races.
Lawnmower races, yeah.
Yeah.
Mississippi State had the interim coach who had the 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
I don't know if any 4-wheeler dealers are interested.
Yeah.
Get Kubota involved.
Yeah. I just, you got to have a good, post-game celebration somehow. Mm-hmm. That's what makes this. And then, of course, a mascot that's willing to
sacrifice itself.
All in. I mean, absolutely all in.
I mean, they did. They leaned into the bit. It was great. They they had a team that was all right, let's make viral moments, and the Duke's Mayo Bowl has done a great job too. You have to be okay, we're not taking this super seriously. This is just supposed to be fun. We're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah. You think other mayonnaise companies are damn, we missed the boat on that.
Heinz is
yeah. the ketchup bowl where
Miracle Whip is oh no.
Here's the thing: ketchup doesn't need this because they've got a large segment of the population that just eats ketchup on everything.
Right.
Anyway, one of them made it to be the president of the United States, which I still don't understand. But so, but yeah, the ketchup on everything bowl, there's people of course I put ketchup on everything.
What's the best generic pasta sauce? What pasta sauce could take over and
Rayo's?
Okay,
Rayo's.
Have a pasta sauce bath after the game.
Oh, look, if you want to lean into the Tommy DeVito kind of a thing that we've all enjoyed with the Giants. You could have the Cutlets Bowl. You could have
it in New Jersey.
Yeah. That's the Pinstripe Bowl. Needs to be brought to you by, an Italian food company, and you get a sauce bath afterwards, which, believe me, your clothes are just gone after that.
What's the bowl? They sell the bowl that is played at Fenway Park. What's the bowl?
Fenway Bowl. I don't know who the sponsor is, but yeah.
Yeah, they should do something.
Boston College won it this year.
Yes, they did. They beat SMU.
Yeah.
Good luck in the ACC, ponies. Your money can't save you now. They should do something with the Red Sox. I don't know what the bit would be, but of course it's sort of a terrible time of year up there because it's really cold and wet.
Here's what you can do. You can just with the Red Sox, you can find things to do that just piss me off. What do you mean you're going to let Juan Soto get traded to the Yankees? Are you guys there?
Not spend any money. Just act like you're the Devil Rays or the Rays.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to trade Chris Sale, but the day after that, we're going to sign Lucas Giolito, and pretend like that's the same.
I don't know. Let David Ortiz coach. Let's just go all in with
exactly.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Get something.
Let David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez coach.
The winner of the Fenway Bowl gets to be the general manager of the Red Sox. And then you the things they do is just 30 days, 30 days the general manager of the Red Sox making decisions, and then my reaction to them all right. I mean, I know we got to trade Chris Sale. He's expensive. 34, and he's not what he's been. And Vaughn Grissom seems like he's going to be good, but I don't know that. And you're going to try to tell me that this is good.
I like that. 30 days as the Red Sox GM. Owners are like, why are we in the luxury tax by $50 million?
Paul Catalina is the coach of Boston College. That's how it happened. Oh, we just traded for the Dodgers' whole roster. And we deferred all their money to 2075. So good luck with that. I'm saving you money in the long run. I'll be long dead when this happens.
Anyway, in conclusion, it's important we all know that SMU lost, and they're still not a serious program. Good luck, guys.
All right. Thanks, Stephen. Always enjoy Wednesdays when you are here. And I'm glad the PlayStation 4 Gambit worked out for you and worked out well.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm glad it did.
Let's do it again next week.
And I can't wait to 15 years from now where your son looks you up on whatever YouTube is called then and goes, hey, man.
He's in the YouTube archives. You got that for free? Why didn't I get more presents then?
This is bogus. So, let's see. G.I. Joe just texted me, pizza bowl with 3 coolers full of different toppings, sauce, cheese. Yeah, that'd be good.
Like that.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with pizza.
Yeah, you can do a lot with pizza. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll talk BYU and their offseason in the show. Still working some things. Smokey is under the weather. He's
not feeling good.
He was fading fast at the end of yesterday's show. And then it's one of those things where under the weather and then the weather matches how you feel. I think that was how Smokey was yesterday. So thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again at 3 o'clock with me and Craig and a show about college football. This is 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public